If you don't spend time with God, you will not be sent by God. There's a play on words. If you don't spend time with God, you will not be sent by God. Often you may be asking, Lord, why you are not using me? He will say, I'm not using you because you are not used to me. If you spend time with me, I can trust you and I can send you. If you don't spend time with me, I can't trust. And now, some people, God looks at like this, as the only source through which the message can go. Let me give to you a story. This is a imaginary story, but it's very powerful. I got this story from a book called The Hidden Half, written by whatever it is, Gordon. Right, that's right, Gordon. And in that book, the story is this. Jesus died, rose again on the third day. For 40 days, he spent time in revealing himself, and he was going into heaven after the 40th day. When he was going into heaven, in the heaven there was a big party inviting Jesus Christ. Gabriel and Michael, they were ushering Jesus Christ. Gabriel looks at Jesus and says, Jesus, why did you go down to earth? Jesus looks at Gabriel and says, can't you understand? You are the person who went to Mary and spoke all those things. Yes, I know. But you tell. Well, I went onto the earth to redeem humanity from their sin. Then Michael says, what did you do? Michael, don't be fussy. Are you not the person who was sitting on the stone when I rose again? Yes, I know. But you tell me. Well, I died for the sin of the whole humanity. And then immediately they answer a question like this. Do you mean to say that the whole humanity is redeemed now? Jesus says it is yes and no. Then they become so wild and say, give one answer. Is it yes or no? Jesus says it's both yes and no. In what way it is yes? It is yes because I have shed enough blood to redeem the whole humanity. It is no because if they don't personalize it, it doesn't apply. Then they ask, how do they personalize? How do they apply it? Then Jesus says, I picked up some guys to go and tell the message. And they ask, who are this? The 12 disciples? And both of them laugh. Who? Michael and Gabriel. Jesus says, why are you laughing? Jesus, you trusted those guys? One of them, he deceived him. The other fellow, before a small girl, he said, I don't know you. Other fellow was telling that I have to put my finger into your wounds to trust you. You believe that? Jesus says, I believe that. And then they ask the one last question. No, listen to this question very seriously. They ask, Jesus, you died for the whole world, and it happens only once in your lifetime. And it happened. And you gave this message to these people. And if they don't tell anyone, what will happen? You know what the answer of Jesus was? He said, if they don't tell, I don't have anyone else. So powerful. So powerful. Do you know why I'm giving you this illustration? Probably you're working in an office. Probably you are living in a neighborhood. In that vicinity, in that locality, in that context, probably you are the only messenger. If you don't tell, if you don't respond, if you don't be the connection between God and them, probably they all will go to hell, and you and I, we have to take the responsibility. But God will look at you and say, you are supposed to go there, but you did not go. I've lost you. My friends, it's very powerful. Jonah decided not to go. He went away. Now here again, the third point, the other point which I want to learn is this. Even going away from disobeying God, in that also I learned a lesson. You may be saying that, sir, you're going a little far away. How can you learn from disobedience? Even in that, I've learned a lesson. Do you know why? I want to ask Jonah, why did you go away? Why you are disobedient? You are having right relation with God. You are willing to respond to God. You are very close to God. You are trustworthy. And that's why God has sent a message through you. But in spite of all these positive points, why you want to go away? Jonah would say like this, sir, I have my own problem. What is your problem? My problem is this. I love my country. So what? If you love your country, should you disobey God? The problem is this. God asked me to go to Nineveh. Nineveh is the capital of Assyria. Assyria is number one enemy to us. If I go there, if they pray to God, if God shows mercy upon them, if God saves them, what will happen? They will play football with us. That's the problem. That's my issue. I love my country. And that's why I was not willing to go there. My friends, we are all Indians. Well, we may be living in a different culture. Still, we dream in our own native language. Am I right? You have dreams in English? Don't tell lies. You won't. Your children may get the dreams in English, but not you. Your thinking process is still in your native language. You think in your native language and then speak. That is why a lot of people from India, they're questioning, Americans cannot understand. He has come, they can't understand. That is thinking in Indian language and speaking in the Western language. Why? That is Hindi. So Kamma, that is English. So if you stretch, you think it's a question. That's the Indian way of. I do that because we think in our own native language. We are made. Why I'm saying this? See, this is the gift from God to us. Whatever the culture we are born in, whatever the citizenship we are born in, whatever it is. So we have a responsibility towards that. So my friends, though you are living outside India, think about your own country. 100 crore people don't know who Jesus Christ is. Somebody said every sixth person is an Indian. Without India being reached by the gospel of Jesus Christ, second coming won't take place. You need to think about your own country. This man, he loved his country. And I'm asking you, what about you? I'm not asking you to leave this country, come to India. I'm not asking you to do that. Think about 10,000 Indians living in St. Louis. You have a responsibility towards them. And it's very easy also. Do you know why? Because they are out of their comfort zone and they are here. It's very easy to reach them. It's very easy to give a comfort and present to them the love of Jesus Christ. Walk the talk. And it happens. It happens. So you have that responsibility. I can't do that. And the Americans cannot do that. Only you can do that. Because you can understand them. And that's why you can do it. So let me even go even faster. You know that after this, there was a big typhoon and all those things. And they put the lots. And the lot came on Jonah. And they came to Jonah. And they asked Jonah, who are you? And let us listen to his answer. How he gives verse 9. Verse 9. Verse 9. Chapter 1, verse 9. And he said to them, I am a Hebrew. And I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land. I like this introduction. I don't know how much you understand this introduction. If I have to put it in an Indian way, probably you can understand it much better. You can appreciate it. Just imagine you came to India, okay, and you got into a village. Just imagine. In the beginning of that lane, I was sitting, and you came, and I saw you. I recognized you. I said, hi, how are you? Just imagine Neil. Hi, Neil, how are you? And he's going into the lane. I just looked at Neil and said, Neil, don't go into that lane because there is a mad dog, a stray dog there. It has bitten already 20 people. 12 of them died. Don't go there. But still Neil goes. I become so wild and said, Neil, don't go. There's a wild dog there. And just imagine if Neil turns around and says, that dog belongs to me, how would you look at Neil? That's what exactly happened here. These people were terrified by the sea that is coming up. And now look at the introduction. He says like this, you see the sea? You see the cyclone? You see the wind? You see the sun? You see the heaven? To all this there is a God, and that God is related to me. That was his introduction. Very powerful. He brought in God into the whole discussion in such a way, they could not delete him. You have to take the statement very seriously. Is your God the main reason? They have to ask the question. My friends, in your offices or in your neighborhood, often you may be having discussion about God and all those things. We do speak about God, but we speak in such a way that even if we remove God from our discussion, the discussion can continue. He will be a kind of an appendix. But he is not like that. That's where you need your brains. That's where you need to be very intelligent to present God in such a way that they cannot remove him out of the discussion. Then, from this, what he tried to say is this: my God is very great God. And then look at verse 10. Then the men were exceedingly afraid and said to him, what is this that you have done? For the men knew that he was fleeing away from the presence of the Lord because he has told them. In verse 9, he said, my God is a good, great God. Verse 10, he said, my God is good God. He's great. He created all this havoc. He's good because he's a holy God. He cannot accept sin. I committed sin. He was publicly confessing his problem, his sin. See, when you want to present God, that you need two things. You must be truthful. You must be very wise. Two things. You cannot tell a lie and bring somebody into Christ. You need to be truthful and you need to be very wise. Now, you may be asking, sir, why you are telling this? Has this brought some people into the fold? I want to show you that. Can you go back to verse 5, chapter 1? Verse 5. Then the mariners were afraid and each cried out to his God. Can you see that? So the people in the ship, they were worshipping different gods and goddesses. In Indian languages, in Telugu, it says, everyone worshipped their own goddess. They were worshipping different goddesses. That's the people. To those people, he introduced God of Israel, Yahweh. That's what he did. Now what happened? You look at verse 14 now, after the introduction. Now let us see what has happened. Verse 14. Therefore they called out to the Lord, O Lord, let us not perish for this man's life, and lay not on us innocent blood for you. O Lord, O Lord, have done as it pleased you. To whom they are praying? To Yahweh. In verse 5, to goddesses. Why the shift? How the shift? Think about it. This whole group, they were worshipping different gods and goddesses. After this statement of Jonah, they stopped worshipping all their gods and goddesses. They started praying to Lord, Yahweh. And all happened because Jonah introduced God. Because Jonah said, I made the mistake and my God is angry. Simple. And now, see, that's what Jonah did. And let's see what further God did. So they picked up Jonah and hurled him into the sea, and the sea ceased from its raging. I like this verse. You may ask me why. Jonah introduced God, but God proved himself. You got my point? Jonah introduced God, but God proved himself. Jonah said, my God is the reason for this havoc. And when they put him into the water, as Jonah touched the water became silent. And then these people looked at the water. This God must be real. Why I'm saying this? You and I, we cannot convince anybody. We can communicate. You communicate the gospel and leave the responsibility to God to convince that person. It's not your duty. It's not my duty. In fact, nobody can convince other human being regarding God. Only the Spirit of God has to do it. So don't think, oh, I don't have knowledge. I don't have biblical understanding. I don't have spirituality. I'm not very in-depth in God and Bible. So when I become that, then I will preach the gospel. No. It is you who communicate. It is he who convinces. And now look at verse 16, the turnaround. Then the men feared the Lord exceedingly, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows. You got no point? As simple as that. But don't you think Jonah is a great person now? How many great lessons you have learned? Number one, he is related to God. Number two, he is willing to respond to God. Number three, he is very close to God. Number 4, he was willing to obey to God. Number 5, he loved his country. Number 6, he is very wise to introduce God in a right way. Number 7, he is very honest to confess that he is a sinner. Number 8, he was willing to die for the sake of his sin. Good points. Have I read into it? Very simple. Now think about Jonah. Before trying to find fault with Jonah, we need to say, do I have these lessons in my life? If not, probably you have to learn. As I said, I'll do the first chapter very quickly, in depth. Maybe from second chapter, I'll do very fast. Second, third, fourth, I'll take 3 minutes and finish it off. Okay. Second chapter, before we go into second chapter, I want to ask you a question. I don't know how much you know it from your Sunday school.